Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show it's about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Lovecraft Country. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. We start off with that very, somber, very, beginning where we kind of learn about that, this is at the time everything went down, the tragedy that was the Emmett Till situation. And because I know of it, but obviously, I'm never well versed in history, so I didn't know the time frame of it. And so to find out also that was one of her friends, it didn't correlate in that her friends that she was hanging out with. I maybe that's one of the boys she was hanging out with over the course of the show. I don't know if they ever went out of their way to kind of say that was. I don't know. They show a picture and I wasn't for sure or not, but obviously, everyone's gathered because of just this horrible thing that happened. And Dee gets brought there because, Montrose is saying, you need to kind of be wary of it. You need to kind of, see that. But obviously, it's the whole conversation of this child's already had to deal with so much death. It's been a week with the whole Hippolytus situation. They still don't know what happened to her. And even, even Letty's we might have to tell her that she's dead. It's no, there's no guarantee that Hippolytus is dead. Maybe she's still out there somewhere. We'll get to that, explaining why Tick kind of feels that way. But, also her dad died, so it's there's a lot of death, and now it's someone you knew that died. It's a lot. And to me, I thought that was such an interesting thing, and interesting isn't really the right word. It's a heartbreaking thing of you have to show your child, she's a young girl that has to be told, be careful. You need to see the horrors of the world so you can prepare yourself so you're not in that situation. It's even a parallel that can be brought up today, because I want to say it was a Fat Man Beyond where Mark Bernardin was talking about the fact is that you have to have those conversations with your children. It's fucked up, but you have to have those conversations with your kids about hey, so people might start looking at you differently. In particular, police might look at you and treat you differently simply because of the color of your skin, and that's nothing on you. It's just the fucked up nature of the world. And it's that's the scary effed up thing that parents have to prepare their kids to be, have to teach their kids, hey, got to be mindful about the cops. It's yes, what the cops represent, what they're supposed to represent. Not all cops represent that, and you could easily be a target for you can even see parallels even modern day for that thing. I'm having to it's you need to your kids kind of have to see the ugliness of the world so they can be prepared for it. So it kind of feels it's kind of a similar thing, and it's right. And obviously Dee's having a hard time. Like I said, with just so much happening, she kind of disappears, and obviously they're all looking for her. But it seems like Atticus is kind of sidetracked, because when he was walking with Letty, I was does he know? Did Letty tell him? Because the way he's no, do you need to take a break? And she's no. I didn't know whether that's just kind of he thinks she's tired. She looks a little tired. Is that what he suggested? But he giving her extra water to him. Does he know and she doesn't know that he knows? Then we see later on he's meeting up with Christina, and he's I want you to teach me magic. And at first she's why are you so desperate? Beforehand and everything, because it's my birthright. It's you're not white enough basically to really kind of instill truth to that. Basically, it's you don't really have you're not as white. Don't have as much claim to all of this. You're not white enough to claim that as much as you want to say that it is your birthright and whatnot. But it is a thing of she's you are so desperate. She's kind of curious why, but it's just he gives her, at the end of the day, he gives her the key to the Ori, and it's what she wanted. Granted, once again, it's we still don't fully know, because obviously she talked about wanting access to the Ori because it is a time machine, but obviously it seems it is more than a time machine. I mean, maybe everything, because that was the whole thing I was confused about, Hippolytus situation, because it seemed that was her sent to the far future, potentially, And then maybe she was kind of, like I had said before, maybe she was maybe it's just the technology of the far future allowing her to basically be whatever those beings were, whatever that whole situation. Because that seemed like some dimensional stuff. That didn't seem because they were even saying no, it's not a time machine. So it seems maybe it's a thing that can break space and time. It can act as a time machine, but that's not its main thing. Even its main thing might be breaking dimensions and stuff. I don't know, but regardless, the fact of the matter is you still don't 100% know what Christina's getting out of it, That's what I'm trying to understand. So when that's all said and done, though, as she's leaving, he brings up the equinox, and then she stops because it's almost like, how the fuck you know about that? And for her, it's like she will be able to complete what no one else in the order was able to complete. Her immortality. And obviously you're wondering, like, well, Ticket's bringing this all up, so like, does this have something to do with his death? You know, obviously everyone's looking for a D, but then like Letty goes back home, and lo and behold, who's waiting for G, and I'm like, oh shit. Now that was an interesting turn of events I wasn't expecting. D is obviously, she's frustrated, and nearby there's these girls laughing, and obviously for her it's like, you know, it's like, this ain't the time to be laughing, because there's even shops that are shut down because they're like, oh, we're closed for Emmett. So it's just like, there's reminders everywhere. So it's like, you're angry, and you don't even have your mom to rely on, because for her it's like, she's wondering, like, because she even brings it up, the mantra later on, it's like, is my mom dead? If mom knew what happened, she'd be here for me right now. So the fact that she isn't, because she's like, she knows the entire family's lying to her, not telling her something. But obviously Lancaster ends up, you know, confronting her, because I had a feeling, because they made a point to show out like her drawing that was left by Hippolyta on that cop, and it's like, well, it's not just a regular cop, that was a member of the Lancaster's lodge and everything. So when it's all said and done, I was like, for it to come back to her, it's like, what's your mama's name? Hippolyta, where is she? And D's like, I don't know. And then he proceeds to cast some spell, putting like a fucking disgusting wad of spit on her face, and it's like, what was that about? But then like some creepy shit starts happening. These two creatures start following her. I'm not well versed in like mythology, because I feel like that's specifically pulling from something, like, because it also seems like it comes from, like, it seemed like it stemmed from the Uncle Tom's Cabin. Like, I don't know whether it's like those characters brought to life in a nightmarish forms, but it almost kind of reminded me a little bit of like that It Follows type of thing, or not in the sense that it's this like somewhat fast but also like slow thing coming after you. They also kind of, because I just saw this kind of pop up most recently, because I haven't watched the movie in years, but Double Toast, it was going back. I want to watch the video, I just haven't watched it yet. They went back and watched, you know, they were watching some classics and stuff like that, and a classic Disney movie was like Don't Look Under the Bed, which I loved that movie when I was younger. I have not seen that movie in years, Tangents and all that, but they kind of remind me of kind of like what the boogie persons look like in that movie. Regardless, like I said, Tangents and all that, but their whole thing, and her being the only one that can see them, and just this forever. I mean, it's a little almost Walking Deadish too, because you have this unrelenting, you know, thing coming after you that won't stop, doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, will forever come after you, and she's always trying to stay a step ahead. She goes to see Lancaster, and he's like, what did you do? It's like, bring me the Ori. It's like, well, she can't do that anyway, because the Ori's not, well, because the Ori exists, I guess, in the form of the key, so, well, yeah, because I forgot, it is still back at that place. I was about to say it's not there. It's like, right, it is there. It is in the house, but she was kind of like, fuck you, spits on him and bounces, because it's like, oh, we'll be able to save you from it, but she was like, no, fuck you, pig, I'm not gonna let you win. So she's doing all she can to survive, and even at one point, she's not done running. She's like, I'm just gonna fight you head on, ends up kind of locking herself in a place, and ends up like opening the door to draw them in, and it's like trying to fight them off, but it's like these things don't seem like they're just die. They won't die. They're just unrelenting, and they just keep going and coming, you know. So at the same time, you know, well, not at the same time, but obviously, like I said, this whole Emmett situation is hitting everyone. It's hitting Ruby to the point like some guy's like, "Oh, are you the maid or something?" And she's like, "Do I look like?" She kind of snaps at the dude. He's almost like, "Who the fuck are you talking to, lady?" Luckily, Christina, disguised as William, shows up and was able to defuse the situation. But obviously for her, it's just the thing of everything that's going on. It's just, she's tired of it all. It's just like the heaviness of it. So she ends up taking the potion to become like, obviously her and William start doing the thing a little bit, but it's like, no, she takes the potion, because at first I immediately took it as, this is a day you don't want to be yourself. You just want to be anyone else, especially someone white, so you don't just have to feel that. And she ends up talking about it too, about how I didn't want to be a black woman in this day, especially a black woman having sex with a white man, just everything related to Emmett, you know, because for her it's like, just tell me you feel something. With everything I'm feeling, this sadness, this anger, you know, it's just like all these feelings I'm feeling, and it doesn't seem like, just tell me that you care, that at least, you know, I think Ruby wanted to have someone that she could rely on, kind of lean on, because she felt guilty too, because it's like, I should be on the other side of town, not here, being able to have safety in your privilege, you know. It's like, I'm able to be here and be fine and live fine because I'm with you. So it's just, you know, all of that. But Christina, it's like, at the end of the day, she admits it. I don't care. The fact of the matter is, you know, for Christina, all that matters is what I get. But at the same time, she's like, you became a white woman not because, you know, of that. It's because you felt that freedom to kind of get whatever you want, you know. Trying to say that Ruby is, you know, it's like, despite everything, you don't really care because you're getting what you want at the end of the day, you know. So it's like trying to say like Ruby doesn't have the altruistic, you know, notions that she's trying to, and you see the look on Ruby's face, because I guess it, you know, crosses her mind like, maybe, you know, does Christina have me figured out? Is that true? Which I'm sure that, you know, it's like, that messes with you so much. You're feeling everything you're feeling about the Emmett situation. Now your response to it makes you think like, wait, is it what I said it was, or is it what Christina said it was? So I'm sure that complicates things even more. Obviously, Tick comes back and he finds those shoes out front. So I think because, you know, Asian culture and everything about like not bringing your shoes inside, not wearing your shoes at the very least on the inside, I think like it hit him to be like, he had a feeling. So he goes in, and obviously the whole conversation kind of breaks down about like what she is. And he's like, well, do you have the specifics? And she's like, no. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, that situation is never, like, no one has ever survived it. Anyone that she's ever done that to has always died after. Tick has been a special case. And it's like, he's like, if you're not here to give me any valuable information, why are you even here? And Letty's like, because she loved you. And obviously, you know, it's the whole situation's upsetting Letty because of what she's going through. And now it's also finding out, oh, Tick, you're gonna die. You knew it and you didn't say anything to me. You've been keeping secrets from me. And obviously Tick being pissed at Gia being like, what we had wasn't real. Just go home. And it's like, which is so messed up because it was real, you know? Because, you know, at least, because even Gia said, in my case, I've got this monster as part of my nature. What is your excuse for the monstrous things that you've done, you know? And it's like, Tick, I think for Tick, it's just because everything's already coming unraveled, and it's becoming even more unraveled because it's like he didn't get to tell things on his terms. So Letty's obviously pissed because it's like, you're keeping secrets from me. For him, it's like, I didn't believe her. I didn't know what I experienced then. He thought probably like, I don't know what it was. He didn't want to believe, but it's like, still there's a part of you that believed enough, you know, but you still didn't say anything. And it's just like, obviously, he's in the process of trying to figure everything out. He's trying to protect everyone, which Letty's like, you're doing a shit job at it because, like, you're supposed to die, yet everyone else is dying around you. Whether it be Letty herself, George, even, like, Hippolyta, because they still don't know what her situation is. But, you know, Tick has made it his decision. He's like, I'm going to protect everyone. He's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for our future. And she's like, you don't have to do this alone. Like, we can find another way. You don't have to kind of go down this route, because he admits that he's been seeing Christina about, you know, the magic and everything, and he wants to cast a spell. And so it makes you wonder, like, what role Gia is going to continue playing in the story. If any, is she going back home, or is she going to stay in town to maybe potentially change things? Because of, regardless of everything else, she still, I think, she did love him once upon a time. Whether she still currently does or not, it seems like she still cares for him. Or maybe she's simply doing this because she did love him at once. But I think there's still some of that feeling there. So she doesn't know what she can do to really help. It's kind of, for her, it's probably a thing of like, it's set in stone. I've seen your future. There's no changing that, you know? But obviously Tick goes and meets with Montrose. And because Montrose had that whole conversation with to Dee, but she wasn't really listening because she was going through what she was going through. But it's the whole thing about just kind of like, basically when they try to take from you, you basically fight to not let them take another damn thing from you type of thing. But obviously Tick has questions about, like, did you cheat on my mom? He was like, no. My situation being what it is, I never stepped out on your mom. It wasn't until he didn't really give in to his urges, his sexual orientation until, like, after the fact. It's like, yeah, our situation was complicated because for him, it's like he knew a pastor when he was young that was gay and the rumors had spread. Cops came, locked him up, threw him in a mental facility because they treated him like he was some crazed demon or something, like he was possessed. And obviously, like, half his brain was like, like in their, in that time, like, that type of behavior was to be fixed. And so, they kind of cut out like half his brain to fix him, like, being gay was some kind of disease or something, And obviously for Montrose, it kind of led him to be the way he is because it's like, I chose living a life over being locked up and being kind of ripped apart like that, And obviously it's like, yeah, I didn't have that attraction to your mom, but it was still, a family, because we both wanted, a family, and it's like, that was enough for us to kind of come together, right? Even if there was nothing like sexually, like, or, attracting us in that regard, familial ties was enough to keep them together, And obviously we get the reveal from Tick where he's like, because, like, obviously Montrose is like, hopefully you'll kind of have a different experience, like when you have a child of your own. And Montrose shows him Tick shows him the book, and then it's like, that's my son. It's like, I have a son. Letty just doesn't know. Letty doesn't know that I know. And it's like, well, how the hell do you know? Because when he went to the portal, he went to the future. I was like, what? This George Freeman that wrote this book is my son. I was like, oh my, because that confused me. I was like, wait, is that supposed to be referential in the sense that it's like, because obviously the show is based on a book called Lovecraft Country, but it was like, George, I didn't understand it. And then it's like, oh no, your son, who you named after your uncle, maybe at that time, maybe it was a thing of, maybe it was just a tribute to him, but maybe it was because it eventually gets revealed that George is actually her dad. But it's like, whoa. So we learned that Tick was only in the future for a little bit. He was saying there were white people rioting. Then, like, someone gave him the book, shoved him back through the portal. But, so it's like, that book, Lovecraft Country, is their story, their family story. And it's like, certain things are changed, like, Christina's a guy, Dee's a boy, but also, Uncle George survived Artem. But it's like, there's enough in there to be like, it's still the truth. So it's like, at the end of the day, does it have a happy ending? And this is why Atticus knows about the equinox, because it turns out that's how Christina gets her immortality, using him as a sacrifice. That's how he dies, is because of that. So now it's a situation of, like, you've kind of seen all kind of, etched in stone, like, you kind of know what your future kind of holds for you. But for Montrose, it's like he's, made that choice. For him, it's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect my son and my grandson, because obviously Atticus wants to do whatever he can so that he can be there in his son's life, because it turns out the equinox is in like 5 days. So it's like, what is he going to do? So with that all said and done, they're trying to spell and everything, and, like, obviously, like, Montrose mixes some stuff up, and Atticus is like, oh, you got that switched around? He's like, yeah, that happens from time to time. He's like, it happens? He's like, I'm dyslexic. He's like, since when? Since I was a boy. He's like, anything else you hiding from me? He doesn't say anything, but he got that look of like, yeah, I'm hiding the biggest secret of all about your Uncle George, who's actually your daddy George, but, still haven't really, but they tried this spell, but it doesn't seem like it works, so it's like, shit, his attempt to, stop all this, protect his family, because even Montrose was like, I'll give my life if it means protecting you and your grandson, my grandson. Then there's the whole situation with Letty, praying to, God to, like, shield Atticus. But she had also called Christina because it's like, might as well have a backup plan. Now, and there's also this whole conversation about, like, oh, like, I never took you for the religious type. Is like, because obviously it's like, these are miracles, but it's like, no, it's magic. It's like, well, walking on water, this and that. Like, what's the difference? It's like, my dad probably thought of himself as something of a god, creating these spells and stuff like that. But it's like, for Christina, it's like, yes, I'll help, but she's like, I won't do it for Atticus, I'll do it for you, which is like, because obviously Letty doesn't know that. I mean, because Atticus knows now, but Letty doesn't know that Christina's spell is how that's going to go down. So for Letty, I think for her, it's like, I'll become like this, this becomes literal later on, but I think for her, it's like, I'll become invulnerable so that if Atticus, I think it's more so to protect the child, but maybe if she's like, if I'm invulnerable, maybe I can at the very least keep this legacy alive. I can keep some part, at least this is what Atticus would want. This, because obviously, he's saying he's doing what's best for their future, and she's doing the same. Granted, I think she's just kind of scared and not willing to kind of tell him, because I think telling him also kind of makes it a little real if you tell other people. The mark of Cain is kind of what it's described as and everything. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so with all of that, there's also the whole thing with Christina where she hires those dudes to mess her up. Dude, that scene was rough to look at. I was like, them punching her, I was like, oh, dude, like, it doesn't change the fact that she might be villainous or whatever, but it's still that's still someone that happening to. I'm like, they shoot her. I'm like, I mean, I guess it makes sense kind of what they're going for, because obviously, like, that's what happened to Rasputin. They stabbed him. They stabbed him. They shot him. They drowned him. I forgot how he finally did die, because they did like a whole bunch of shit to like Rasputin, and he just kept living. So I guess she's kind of going for that, because I was like, does she enact her immortality, or what is it? And then it's just like she ends up surviving all of it, and then I don't know whether she was. It seemed like she was crying, because you see the mark of Cain like on her stomach, and I'm like, is that supposed to be like? Is there a part of her that's not actually looking for immortality? Is she actually looking for death or something? That's what I'm confused about. Like, was that supposed to be a test run of your immortality? Which obviously it's like, yeah, it might be immortality, but it's not indestruction, because if it was you being indestructible, you wouldn't have gotten hurt. It's like immortality means you can live through it, but you'll still feel pain and get hurt, But I'm not 100% sure what that whole thing with Christina was. Like, I don't know whether it is her testing, just being like, maybe it's for what she's preparing and she needs to make sure like everything's ready and okay, or maybe there is some part of her that doesn't want. I don't know what she says she wants the immortality, but I'm like I said, I don't know if that was supposed to be a test run of that, but it seemed like she was. I mean, granted, it's like that was a very painful way to damn it die. So it's like, but I guess she needed something. Well, I also forgot because I'm stupid. Like, because she said you pull pain from magic, so most likely what she was doing is basically building up, like all those blows, every terrible thing they were doing to her was causing her more and more pain, and that was building the magic. So I guess that's the point of it. Like, she has her like protection, from the mark of Cain, so it's just meant to be, let me get all this pain, charge it up, and now I'm charged up, because she needs a lot of energy for this spell, and obviously for her, pain is magic, well, magic is pain. So with that all being said and done, though, when the time comes, kind of like, Ruby's, comes back to the house with Letty, and I thought it was an interesting thing, because Letty, it's like talking about how Emmett's mom was like, put her child on display, so people, it's like, it takes a lot to be able to do that, just so people can see what was done. And for her, she's like, I couldn't even take any photos of it. And Ruby's like, it's okay to kind of protect yourself first, because it's like, because obviously it's like the hot day, and it's like, what's that smell? Dee had asked, and Ruby's like, it's one of the hottest days, and Dee was like, it's him, isn't it? Which, speaking of Dee, like, Montrose tracked her down. She was fighting those things off, but I guess they finally got her, because it's like they're unrelenting, so he can't see it, but they grab her, and it looks like her flesh is starting to decay and it's spreading. One of them's grabbing onto her, the other one's still dancing, but I guess it's like it's about to go get, or maybe it's just only one of them needs to get her in this game of tag, but at the same time, like, Ruby reveals to Letty, like, oh yeah, I know, because she's like, Letty's like, I'm pregnant, and Ruby's like, you followed him to Arden and everything, and then she's like, yes, I know, and basically breaks everything down about Christina. And it's the thing of like, Christina's going to teach me magic, because it's like, I don't want to be a white woman, and I don't want to be in a space where it's like, I kind of have to like I had to feel bad about being in this space because it wasn't meant for me. She's like, with magic, I can make my own space. But Letty's like, I know, like, magic's nothing but a whole bunch of pain and death. And for her, it's like, you know, she doesn't want Ruby dragged into this thinking that, you know, magic can solve anything. It's evil, you know? And at the same time, Lancaster shows up. And I thought it was interesting. He tries to get in, but he can't because the place is blocked. Because they never specify what that does. I guess specifically it keeps out white people with magic. I guess because it's like, it kept him out, so it's like he's got magic. It's like, now he knows you do. Bullets start flying in the house, but then we see later on Letty's fine because like the bullets are bouncing off of her because of the protection she got. So Tick shows up, bullet flying at him. Monster pops up. It starts ripping into these cops, biting off heads, stabbing people. Like that one dude got thrown through the car. He's poking out the window, and this whatever it is from the creature stabs through him and through his mouth and everything. It was nasty and bloody. I'm like, oh, I guess that spell you enacted worked. And then Lancaster's getting it, which I'm like, fuck yeah. But also, let's not forget his body's the way it is. So it's like, I don't know whether it's... I still never figured out what that was. Whether that's like he sewed his head on someone else's... Like, that's someone else's body. It's meant to be like a stronger body because maybe his body wasn't as strong as he wanted it to be. Or maybe that has something to do with like... Because I took it as like, oh, maybe that part of his body's dead. Or like, I didn't know what to make of it. They haven't really explained it. But he got his arm torn off. I'm assuming that was his body because at one point... Letty and Atticus are watching as like a cop is thrown across the damn house. Like, also that moment where that creature bit into a cop and it splattered both of them with blood, and they're terrified. But then the creature's in front of Atticus and he's touching it and it stops. So it's like, oh, you have your own guard dog now. So it's like, does that thing just go away or does it stay underground? Like, what happens from there? I have no idea. That was a lot. That's a ton of stuff that went down in this episode. Dude, we only got like, I think 2 episodes left in this season, and I have no idea where this is all going to go. Obviously, Atticus thinks, you know, well, it seems like it's sure enough where his path is going to go take him, you know, how all this is going to end on his front, obviously, with the whole... But it makes you wonder if he does survive, like, what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? Like, does that mean you've changed the future? And the future you came from, like, is it going to be what you thought it was? Then there's the whole D situation, like, what's going to happen with her? Is there going to be... Well, now that Lancaster's dead, does it automatically break that curse? So, yeah, she was in that situation, but now that Lancaster's dead, maybe it gets rid of that. I don't know. Still, the whole Hippolyta situation. She said she was going to come back. It's been a week. We're dealing with time and space and dimensions and stuff like that, potentially. So it's like, you know, it's kind of a Doctor Who thing where it's like, yeah, I'll get you back here in time. Oh, I got you back here a couple of days later. You know, this time thing's not that easy to figure out. So maybe, you know, she's, you know, been lost. It's, you know, what's been a week it's been an entire lifetime, multiple lifetimes potentially for her with all the adventures she went on last episode. But regardless, I am so interested to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.